Welcome to Albatross Barbecue. My name is Dave. Today we're going to be smoking grade 9 Wagyu beef brisket. Thank you for tuning in. So as I said, today we're going to be smoking beef brisket, but this is a special beef brisket. This is grade 9, so those of you who don't understand grading when it comes to brisket, this is up at the top end of the scale. So if you were to go shopping for a car, you're looking for a brand new vehicle, you got a budget, you might be looking for something like a Hyundai or a Kia, still does a good job, but this is the Ferrari of briskets. Absolutely beautiful. So we've got a new butcher's down in Berkeleyville, and they specialize in aging their meats. So today this brisket is grade 9. It's been dry aged for 30 days. Basically what that means is it's going to be very, very tender. Well, I'm hoping so anyway, as long as we get the cook right. So I'm very, very excited to be cooking this today. Thank you for tuning in. Enjoy the smoke. Okay, here's our brisket. So as you can see, what we've got here is a beautiful piece of flat, and then we've got our point. This is the decal in the middle. Usually the decal is very, very hard, but because this brisket has been dry aged for 30 days, this is actually really quite soft. So I'm not gonna cut any of this away. In the smoke, I'm gonna cook it, I'm gonna let it really tenderize, and I'm gonna let all that fat flavor go through the meat. So on this side, what you can see, this is purely the flat. It's got beautiful marbling here. The nice thing about this brisket is I don't have to do much trimming at all. So on this side, there is a little bit of fat here that I'm gonna trim, and the reason why I'm gonna trim that is purely so my rub gets flavor into the meat. On this side though, I'm gonna be keeping the fat exactly as it is, because as I said, the fat is going to give me beautiful flavor through this brisket. So now that we've trimmed the brisket, it's time to apply our rub. Today I'm going to be keeping the rub nice and simple. Salt, pepper with a little bit of garlic. I do have other rubs that I like to use when I'm doing brisket, pending the type of brisket that I'm smoking. But today, because this brisket is full of flavor with all the beautiful soft fat, I want to keep my rub nice and simple. So here we have 10 grams of garlic salt. Here I've got 15 grams of pepper. And then here I have 25 grams of Himalayan pink salt. So very simply, we're going to combine these together and give them a good mix. And I've got my shaker here. I'm just going to apply the rub into. All right, so there's our rub. Let's give it a good shake, a good mix. So we're going to season the base of the brisket first, and then I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to do the top, as well as the sides. Very, very important, you get flavor across the whole brisket. Good. I've got flavour everywhere. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to let this brisket rest in this seasoning probably for about 5 minutes before I go and put it on the smoker. Some people like to leave it for half an hour. Some people leave it overnight. I don't like to leave it overnight because I've got salt in here. And what does salt do? Salt dries things out. It gets the moisture out. I don't want to get any of the moisture out of this brisket at the moment. I want to keep the moisture in. So I'm just going to let it rest here, let it get to room temperature. As I said, it's already been out here for 10 minutes anyway. So just 5 to 10 minutes sitting here resting, and then we're going to throw it in the smoker. Today we're going to be smoking on the Traeger. I've got the temperature gauge set at 225 degrees Fahrenheit or 107 degrees Celsius. In terms of pellets, I've got a combination of hickory and cherry pellets. So the brisket is now in the Traeger. I'm going to be leaving it alone for a good 90 minutes. And then after 90 minutes, I'm just going to come and give it a little bit of a spritz with some water just to keep it nice and moist. It's probably going to sit in here for somewhere in a region of around 4 to 5 hours just to build up a nice bark. And then we're going to wrap and add some additional flavour. I've not touched this brisket for almost 2 hours now. I've just been leaving it to smoke. So let's have a look, see how it's going. So as you can see, it's starting to get a nice mahogany colour. That smoke is going right through that meat. Looking very, very nice. Exactly how I'd expect it to look after about 2 hours in the smoker. Let's give it a little bit of spray, just to keep it moist. So what I'm using here is a little bit of water. Some people like to use the beef broth or apple cider vinegar with some water. For myself, I don't think the spritz actually gives any additional flavour to the meat whatsoever. So I just like to keep it moist with some water. And I'll come and check on this again probably in about another hour. So while the brisket is smoking away, I just thought I'd explain what the grading means when it comes to beef brisket. So the higher the grade basically means more fat. Fat is good because fat gives flavour, and because we're cooking it over a long time and very slowly, that fat is just going to render and it's going to go through the meat. So it's going to make it very, very tender, it's going to make it extremely juicy, and it's going to be very, very tasty. Most briskets that I buy would be a lower grade. This one is a little bit more expensive, but I'm sure it's going to be worth it when it comes to dinner time. We're now 5 hours into the cook, so I'm going to have a quick check on the brisket just to see what temperature it's at. Alright, so I'm sitting at just over 160 degrees, which is good. That means it's time to wrap. Let's have a little look at that brisket. As you can see there, it's really starting to form a nice bark. It's got some lovely colour to it. Yeah, definitely time to wrap. So I've got the brisket out, and now I'm going to wrap it. So before I wrap it, I'm just going to put a little bit of beef stock on the bottom. Not a huge amount, just a little bit there, just to keep it moist and to keep that beef flavour. A little bit of a sprinkle of our rub that we made earlier, just a little bit more on top, and then you want to wrap it nice and tight. Now that we have that wrapped, I'm going to put it back into the Traeger. Alright, so now we've got it wrapped. I'm going to leave it in here for another couple of hours. I'm going to come and check on it. Once it reaches a temperature of about 200 to 205, we're going to pull it off and then we're going to rest it in the esky. So the brisket's been wrapped for about 3 hours now. I have been checking the temperature every 45 minutes, 60 minutes, etc., just to make sure that it's on track. And last time I checked it about half an hour ago, it was sitting about 185, 190. So let's go and have a little look now and see where it's at. All right. As you can see, there's substantially more liquid in here now than the beef broth that I put in there. Open it up, have a little look. smells amazing, by the way. Let's have a quick look at that temperature. That felt pretty good. Still showing a little bit under, but it certainly feels good. Let's check this side. Yeah, that's going in nicely. It's at 199. And then down towards the flat here, 195. 199. Yeah, probably just needs a little bit more time, so I'm going to put it back in the smoker for another 30 minutes, and then we'll come and check on it again. Good news, I've just checked the temperature, I've hit 200, and it feels very, very tender, so now it's time to put it in the esky. What I like to do is just put it in there, throw a towel over it as well. Close it over. I'm going to leave it here to rest. You can leave it there for an hour, 2 hours, it's really up to you. Today I'm probably going to leave it for about 45 to 60 minutes. Okay, the brisket has been resting for an hour. It's time to open it up, have a look, have a taste test, and enjoy some dinner. So, coming in, have a little look. So all this juice that you can see here, do not get rid of that. You can dip your brisket in, gives it additional flavour. It'll taste fantastic. So here we've got our brisket. When we were seasoning, you may remember that the grain was actually going this way. So we want to cut against the grain. I don't want to cut this way, and I don't want to cut this way either because it's a little bit too big. So I'm going to come in at a bit of an angle. And this is cut straight down the middle. And have a little look at this. Sounds very juicy. So just look at that juice coming through. Beautiful, that's one hell of a juicy brisket. Look at that. Let's drop a few slices. As you can hear, it is extremely juicy. And now it's taste test time. I can taste the pepper and the salt. Really complements each other. It's very, very nice. Give it a go. Enjoy the smoke. Thank you for watching the video. And have a good day.